And I'm Katie.
And you are listening to Ropedrop and Parkhop.
Hello.
Hello.
Feels like it's been a long time.
It does. Katie's faking the healthy voice. If you listened to our quick little blip last week, she was knocking on death's door.
I was. Bad.
We're so
glad.
I'm
feeling like a human again today.
Yes, and I'm so glad.
Yay.
All right, should we start with a review?
Yes, let's
Okay, this one is from... Okay, and we had a big discussion about this because as we're going through the reviews, we're trying to read them in order.
Yes.
And we both feel like maybe we've read this one before because the name is familiar, but also maybe it's just because we've read the reviews to ourselves.
Right, we read them when they come in.
Right.
So...
And this is just such a clever name that it stands out. But
and it's a great review, so
we'll read
it twice.
If we did read it before, you get it a second time. This is from Typical Loot Llama. Thank you, Typical Loot Llama. Okay, if you're listening, if you're still listening, this is from January. If you're still with us 10 months later, DM us and let us know where that name came from.
I know where Loot Llama comes from. Do you know where Loot Llama? Oh, it's from Fortnite.
Oh, got it.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't know about the typical. I like the typical ad. To Loot Llama.
I love Typical Loot Llama.
This is a lot of discussion about a reviewer's name.
I know.
Anyway, you're awesome.
Clever. So the review. So many good tips. I have been going to Disneyland at least twice a year for the last 15 years and thought I knew everything. In preparation of my trip for April, I decided to listen and get some great tips and even one that will end up saving me between $250 and $300 on my December trip. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Amazing podcast, ladies. Thank you very much, Typical Loot Llama. Yeah. I'd love to know what we told you that would save you money.
I know, right? I want to save it.
Me too. Let us know about your name. Let us know about the money-saving tip that we shared with you.
Sometimes we forget. And sometimes our old lady brains, it just goes right out the window after we say it. So I'm glad we helped you.
I'm glad it was a great tip.
Yes.
Okay.
We're light on news this week.
Yeah.
There's a couple closures to talk about. Indy is going down on November 14th indefinitely. Panic. The calendar doesn't go out far enough to let us know what the reopening date is. So
I think it's planned. I think I read somewhere else on someone, and I'm sure it's speculation on the reopening date, but I think it's a short refurb.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Maybe they'll fix the ball.
That's what I was just going to say. I've seen a lot of chatter lately about the ball not working every time.
Ever.
Yeah. I had it work a couple of times last time we were there.
Oh.
It was still working sporadically.
I haven't seen it work in, I don't think, May or August or September. I don't think it worked for me.
Well, maybe they'll fix the rolling ball. That would be nice.
It would.
It would be nice if they fixed the room with the rats, too. That hasn't been working for, 10 plus years, I think. So if it's a short refurb, it doesn't sound like that is on the docket, but we'll see.
Maybe and then clean it.
Right. Monsters, Inc. goes down November 1st, and we were discussing this. This one just went down recently for a refurb. Not
sure
what's going on there.
It went down right before Halloween, which would make you think that maybe it was getting an overlay for Halloween. Yeah. It had no overlay.
No.
And then it's going down the day after the Halloween season ends.
Right. To remove the invisible Halloween overlay.
Yes. I will say this, though, and this isn't really anything I was going to talk about. There's a lot of scaffolding up around it.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing some work on it.
Maybe it just needs some zhuzhing.
Maybe. The main facade, when you walk up to it, was invisible. It had lots of scaffolding and lots of scrim. Yeah. So it wasn't visible, and you kind of walked through a little construction zone to get into it. So whatever they're doing, hopefully they're going to wrap it up and bring it back to normal.
Maybe it's getting a holiday overlay for Christmas.
Maybe. That'd be kind of cool.
It also does not have a reopening date. And then the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail will go down on November 1st to remove the Villains Grove and will reopen on Holiday Time Day.
And Santa's usually down in there, isn't he?
I think so.
They'll probably set it up for his arrival.
Yes, usually they have Santa down there. Maybe they'll bring Raya back as well. I don't know.
Hot cocoa, cookie decorating.
Yes,
all
fun
of those
stuff.
things. Yeah.
That's a fun little spot at Christmas time.
I agree.
PhotoPass lenses are now available when you buy Genie Plus, which we're not totally sure if we're excited about this or not. I think we're not.
We kind of talked a little bit about it, and it almost just seems like magic shots
without the cast member. Yeah. And so this is something Disney World has had already for a whole year when they introduced Genie Plus for both coasts. PhotoPass lenses were already included at Disney World. Now we have them at Disneyland. And it's basically, I don't know, they said there's an underwater scene with Dory and Nemo maybe. And then
there was a Baby Yoda, Grogu one.
Yeah. I don't know. It sounds like lenses for your photos.
Like Snapchat filters.
Snapchat filters, something like that. anyways, only available with Genie Plus, though, I think. So you have to buy Genie Plus to have these lenses.
Which you should be buying Genie Plus anyway.
You should, if only for the PhotoPass stuff. I had someone today
ask me about Genie Plus and how I feel about it. And I said, it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
I don't love it, but it makes your day go so much smoother.
It does. And the more we use it, the more I think comfortable we get with it. And it just makes...
There's still things I hate about it that are beyond my control.
It just makes your day go a little more smoothly.
For sure. On our end, for sure. But there's still things I just... when you look at the progression of Fast Pass into Max Pass into Genie Plus, Genie Plus is the worst of the choices.
100%.
The worst of what's been the iterations.
Yep.
So...
Bring back Max Pass.
For real. And Fast Passes. The free option.
Right. That would be nice.
Get Genie Plus and then take a picture with Dory and Nemo and tag us in it so we can see what it looks like, because I'm not sold.
We can't wait. And then the Candlelight Processional, which happens every December at Disneyland. The dates have been announced for that. That'll be the weekend of December 3rd and 4th. 2 performances per night. Be prepared for crowds around Town Square that night. It's a big deal. It's very cool. It's on my bucket list to go and see someday. They have a celebrity narrator every year that is usually a surprise. They won't announce who that is until right before the performances. And there are seats for this performance. You will not be filling those seats unless you are extremely, extremely lucky.
Right.
It's for Club 33 members, some VIP guests, and... I don't know who else fills those seats, but
their guests,
right?
They can invite people,
and then every once in a while they will have a couple of empty seats, and they'll pull people from the sides to fill those seats. But don't count on it,
right? And if you're not able to be there and you're kind of watching that from the side, also know that you're able to watch the actual processional as it moves down the parade route. So it will start back by "It's a Small World," and the choir, in their choir robes with their candles, will walk the parade route past the Matterhorn and down Main Street, USA. So you can for sure participate in that.
Right. And if you get there early enough, you can have seats on the sidewalk to be able to watch the actual performances. You just have to be willing to be there early and sit there all day long. So mostly locals, I think, are the ones that go and do that. If you're just at Disneyland for the day for your once-in-a-lifetime trip, you're probably not going to do that.
It's a good time to go ride.
Right, exactly. But like I said, 2 per night, around 5 and 7 p.m., I think.
Sure.
And then the holiday parade, my favorite.
Katie's
Christmas
very
Fantasy.
Favorite, yes.
The times will be altered for that on those days. They'll be a little bit earlier.
But fireworks will be the same.
Fireworks the same.
Yes.
Those will not be affected.
Correct.
Okay.
Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about it. We didn't add it onto our news thing, but Hocus Pocus 2 came out on Friday.
Yes. Well,
on Disney Plus.
Thursday at midnight-ish, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is technically Friday.
I know, but there were a lot of people that had watched it. Yes,
I know.
But by the time I got up Friday, people had already watched it.
Hocus Pocus, the classic, the original, is just a cult, has a cult following.
Yes.
And people were so excited about this.
Yes.
Without giving any spoilers.
No spoilers. It did not get rave reviews from most people online, I would say.
Right.
Was the general consensus.
I was at Disneyland, and so we didn't watch it until Sunday because that was when we got home and could watch it with the family. And I read a lot of things online about people hating it.
Yeah.
And so I really had low expectations. I liked it.
I thought it was delightful.
Yes. I thought it was super cute. And we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording, but new story with some really great nods to the old story.
Yep. A great new version for a new generation is how I looked at it. And yeah, we were talking about this too, but the original Hocus Pocus is not like a cinematic marvel.
Masterpiece?
No, it's not like the best movie ever. It is just a cult classic, right? And so I don't know what people wanted from this one, why people were so upset about this one.
Well, and it was released straight to Disney Plus. So it's like a total Disney Plus movie.
Yeah. And it was great. And the ladies looked amazing.
They did.
I mean, they're 30 years older now at this point than they were back then.
Bette Midler is 76.
Yeah. And she looks great.
Yes.
They all 3 of them did.
It was great. I liked it. I'll watch it again.
I did too a lot.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched it, give it a watch. I think it's totally worth at least once.
Yeah.
But
just put it on your Halloween playlist for this season.
And that, I think, is it for news.
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so as you know, last week, if you listened to a little quick 5-minute podcast, Erin had a little fun surprise trip that she got to take with her little one.
Yes.
A birthday trip.
Yes.
And so today we're just going to talk about her trip a little bit and hopefully some new things that she learned and some old favorites that they got to do again and all that good stuff. So walk us through how you came to the decision to go in the first place.
So this was a very impulsive, very last minute thing. I think I booked it like 2 weeks before we left ish. And
so I think when we recorded last together,
I had no plans.
She hadn't even,
And so my pass expires in 2 weeks. Katie, yours expired, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
And you did not renew.
I did not.
And I am not planning on renewing.
Right.
And that doesn't mean we're not going back. It just means at this point in time, it didn't make sense to renew for either of us.
Right.
And so that played a part in it for me because I know that my pass is expiring soon. And so I knew for me, I wouldn't have to buy tickets for myself. And I've mentioned this a few times before that I've taken my 2 older kids on little surprise trips. And Lyndon just hadn't had the chance to do it yet. And she's kind of been asking lately, every now and then, hey, Mom, when am I going to get to have my surprise trip to Disneyland? And I just didn't know when I was going to be able to do it. And about 2 weeks before it happened, things just kind of fell into place. There was a really great deal on Southwest. My friend Brandy that I went with in May was going to be down there and had extra room in her hotel room. And I spoke with her and she encouraged me to book it and said, you guys can stay with us. And I was like, okay. And it all just kind of fell into place to where, I mean, all I had to pay for really was Lyndon's ticket, her ticket to the parks. And I was able to get those at a discount and it just made sense. Once my pass expires, I didn't know when I was going to be able to do it again for a good price. And so it just made sense. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. And plus for science, right?
Of course. Always, first and foremost for science.
So tell us where you stayed while you were there this time.
Okay. So we stayed at 2 different hotels. We stayed at the Best Western Raffles Inn, which is a little bit south of Disneyland on Harbor, kind of across from the convention center.
Okay.
One hotel separates it and the Toy Story parking lot. So it's super easy to get into the Toy Story parking lot if you choose to do that.
Did you use the Toy Story parking lot at all?
We did.
Okay.
So we got there Wednesday evening. That was a fiasco. We were flying into Burbank. Something new that we were going to try this time is using the train. And we've talked a little bit about that on here, talked a little bit more about the San Diego to Anaheim route.
Right.
But when I was looking at these plane tickets that were so well priced, Burbank was the option. And I was trying to figure out how to get from Burbank to Anaheim. And that was really not cost effective. Uber was expensive. Renting a car was expensive. And I remembered Ashley from Disney Planner Babe flying into LAX recently and taking the train from Los Angeles to Anaheim. And so I started looking into like, what are my options? And it turns out there is a train stop right at the Burbank airport. And so as I looked into it a little bit further, my plane would land at 4 o'clock and the train would leave at 4:55. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Let's take a carry-on. We'll just get off the plane. We'll run to the train station and we'll catch the train and we'll get to Anaheim. And it would put us in Anaheim at about 6:20. And so the morning of our flight, I'm so dumb. I had checked our flight a couple of times and everything looked good and everything looked on time. And so as I was getting ready to leave my house, we were going to use the Metrolink train on the way down to Anaheim. And I bought my Metrolink tickets. And then I went and checked my flight again, and the second leg of our flight was delayed. And it would have put us into Burbank at 4:30. And I just really felt like
super tight.
Yeah. And I didn't know, because I've never done it before, I didn't know the vicinity of the train station. I didn't know how quickly I could get there. And so I called Southwest. I talked to them. The gal was super sweet and nice on the phone. But basically she said, because your flight is not delayed more than an hour, I can't do anything for you.
Oh, boy.
But she did tell me that I could talk to the gate agent when I checked in at the airport, and maybe she'd be able to do something for me. So I did that. We got to the airport. And I went up to the counter and I talked to the gate agent. Her name was Sherry at the Boise airport. She was fantastic. And I kind of told her the problem. And I just said, I'm afraid that we're going to miss that train.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, you're totally going to miss the train. Let's get you on a different flight.
Okay.
And so she moved us into an Orange County flight. And we landed in Orange County at 4 o'clock. So we got to Orange County way earlier than we anticipated, which was awesome. Went and checked into the hotel, went to downtown Disney that night. We used the Toy Story shuttle to do that.
Nice.
So once we checked into the hotel, we walked over. Security is not there in the evening. You go through regular security in the evening. In the morning, you do security there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can bypass it at the park entrance at the Esplanade. But in the evening, there's not a security checkpoint there. So went to downtown Disney, went to Splitsville for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I have complaints.
Oh boy, here we go.
So you've eaten there, yes?
Yes.
What did you eat when you ate there?
I think I had the ahi, like the pokey.
Okay. Was it good?
Poke?
Poke?
Okay.
I don't know.
Area?
We'll get messages. Was it okay?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I thought it was fine. Yeah.
So I had sushi. The sushi was fine, and it wasn't great. Nothing to write home about. Mm-hmm. Not the best sushi I've ever had. We also got
sushi at a bowling alley, right?
Right. At a theme park. Mm-hmm. We also got the loaded fries. Those were phenomenal. Okay. I would totally get those again. So if you're ever going to Splitsville, get the loaded fries. So good.
Okay.
White queso, fresh bacon, fresh scallions. Really, really good. Here's my complaint. Brandy and her kids went with us. Mm-hmm. And as part of the deal that I made with her to stay with them in their hotel room, I told them, I have a gift card. I had a gift card to Splitsville for $150. Okay. And I said, I'll cover the $150 of the dinner. You cover the difference, And she had 3 of her kids with her, and I just had me and Lyndon. So our bill came to $159. Okay. I'm not super good at math, but that to me seems like Brandy would be paying $9. So we give them all of our stuff. They're gone for half an hour. And she keeps walking past our table, and we're like, hello, are you going to bring our check back to us? Finally, a manager comes over to our table, and she brings our check back to us, and I open it up. And they charged me $132 on the gift card.
Okay.
And it shows my remaining gift card balance as negative $9.
Okay.
And then they charge Brandy $25.
Okay.
So I'm looking at it and I'm super confused.
Yeah.
And so the girl comes back over and I was like, hi, I don't understand any of this. Mm-hmm. I said, my gift card was for $150. Why was I charged $132? Why is it showing this negative balance? And she's like, I'll go get the manager. Hang on just a second. So she goes and gets the manager. He's new. He's only been there for 3 months. And he explains to me, and this is where I have my beef, that they are not supposed to charge the full amount on a gift card. This is his explanation to me. And I was like, okay. And he was like, because people were coming in with gift cards and not tipping their server.
Oh.
So first of all, tipping is not required. This is my opinion. I tip, and I tip well typically. Mm-hmm. It's not required. I don't have to tip my server. Mm. So for you to keep some of the money off of my card, just in case I don't tip them, is not okay, I don't think.
Right, especially without your permission.
Right, like forcing me to tip my server. Especially, there were 6 of us in the party, and I know that some places have a requirement, if you have 6 or 8 or whatever it is in the party. Gratuity. Yes, I don't think that was the case here. And the way he explained it to me is that he said, actually, we're only supposed to charge $50 to a gift card at any given time. And I said, okay, so I have this $150 gift card. You're only allowed to charge $50? And he said, yes. And I was like, so how does that work for people who don't live here and who don't come here frequently? Mm-hmm. You'd leave $100 on my card and just send me home with it? And he was like, yes. So us charging the $132, which also was
a favor.
Yes. And also it was like $132 and some change. It was the most arbitrary, random amount ever. And it was just super bizarre. So then I was like, okay, but then fine, if that's your explanation, but our bill is more than the $150. So we gave you a credit card to pay the additional amount, which is where the tip should also go.
Right.
And he was like, yeah. And anyway, he's like, it's just our policy. And he could not explain it. He could not explain to me why it was $132.19 or whatever it was. He couldn't explain to me the negative $9.
Right.
It was the most confusing, messed up thing ever. And so then I was like, okay, well, is there a balance on my gift card? And he's like, yes. And I was like, what is it? Because it says negative $9 here, but that doesn't make any sense. He's like, I don't know. And I said, okay, you can just throw it away. I don't need it because I'm not coming back like for $7 or whatever, you know. It was so weird.
That is funny.
So if you go to Splitsville, pay close attention to your bill. It was so weird.
That is really weird.
It was super weird. And I've never ever in my entire life ever been to a restaurant, a retail location, anything like that wouldn't allow you to use your gift card.
Right.
You know?
That seems really silly.
Yeah.
What a weird policy.
And I don't think
Sounds
it's
like
a policy.
you might need to write to corporate or something.
I think it's owned by Disney.
Splitsville is?
Because he said it was Disney's policy. And when you Google Splitsville, it only comes up at Disney and Disney Springs.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, if any of you have any experience with that, let us know.
Or if it makes sense to any of you.
Yeah.
Make it make sense to me.
If you're somebody who works in retail and a place that takes gift cards, that makes sense.
But not the full amount of the gift card.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay.
You can only use 73.7% of your gift card at a time. I just didn't understand it. It was weird and it was disappointing.
Yeah,
because
I'm sorry.
It's okay. And the loaded fries were great. So I would go back there for those, but just
get the loaded fries
to your bill.
And it still remains that neither of us have actually been bowling there at Splitsville, right? Yeah. No.
Have you even seen the lanes?
Yeah, we walked back there and checked out the lanes.
I did not. They had live music though.
Oh, that's fun.
And they were really great. Mm-hmm. We sat outside. It was a lovely night.
Nice.
And everything else was great until the bill situation.
That's so interesting.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to share that with you guys just because, and chances are probably you're not using a Splitsville gift card. I won one in a contest and yeah.
There you
go. So back to the Best Western Raffles Inn. Great hotel. It's a motel. You enter from the outside. Windows are on the walkway, which is a little unnerving sometimes, but great breakfast in the morning.
Oh, good. It's free too, right?
It is free breakfast. Avoid the eggs. They were weird.
Were they wet egg?
They weren't wet egg. They were not. They looked like pancakes. They were kind of in a disc shape.
Okay.
And they almost had the consistency of a pancake, but an egg.
Interesting.
They were weird. And
like a Starbucks egg bite
not
wannabe?
Really dry. Really odd. So I would say just avoid the eggs.
Okay, there you go.
That's my hot tip there. And so then that night we switched over to the Home 2 Suites, which is just around the corner from the Hojo Anaheim. So
nice.
The Hojo Anaheim is on the corner of Harbor and Manchester, and the Home 2 Suites is on Manchester, right behind the Marriott Courtyard.
Okay.
Actually, right behind the Fairfield. Yeah, the Fairfield.
Marriott,
Yep. So you go back around behind, and our window looked onto the top of, on par with the Marriott Fairfield.
Okay.
And so we could see the Matterhorn from our window.
Oh, nice.
Awesome for fireworks.
Cool.
We did not watch fireworks from there, but it would be a really great fireworks view. And this hotel had a fantastic breakfast. Everything was really, really good.
And they're all suites, right?
They are. Yep.
So good for bigger families.
Yes.
And
lots and lots of room, lots and lots of storage. I was really impressed with how many drawers they had that you could easily unpack. If you're someone who unpacks your family, you would have so much room to do it. The only complaint I had, I think the only thing that we felt was a little odd because we were two families. They didn't actually have a door on the bathroom.
Oh.
It was a barn door.
Oh, yeah.
And so it slid over, but there was a gap kind of from both directions in looking into the bathroom. I wish they had a door that closed.
Okay.
You just kind of felt weird in the shower.
They're trying to be trendy and it's not working out.
Yeah, kind of at the cost of privacy.
Yeah. And so what did you think of the walk from that hotel?
It added probably 3 minutes to what the walk is like from the Hojo.
Okay.
And so totally doable, really easy. And we walked from the Best Western also our first morning, which we'll talk more about. When we rope dropped, we didn't want to deal with security and the bus and being at the mercy of the bus. So we left early. I forgot my deodorant. So we stopped at CVS and got deodorant. And poor Lyndon, she gets mortified real easy. And I made her put deodorant on and she had to I put it on at the crosswalk. I was just like, I don't care. And I quickly reached not under my shirt, but through my neck into my shirt. And she was like, Mom, what are you doing? And I said, I'm putting on deodorant. She's like, okay. And I said, you have to too. She's like, I'll do it in a bathroom when we get to the bar.
Bless her heart.
She's a little more.
She's preteeny.
She's a little more classy than I am. It's fine. But we walked that way. That one was a longer walk than the Home 2 Suites. Home 2 Suites. I think the Home 2 Suites is totally doable.
Okay.
So if you have a big family and you're looking for something easy walking distance with a good breakfast, Home 2 Suites is a good option.
Okay, good to know. And a little more room to spread out.
Yeah.
But a barn door.
Be prepared.
Okay, so your first morning, you walked from Raffles early enough for rope drop.
Yes.
So how early did you leave your hotel? Do you remember? With a CVS stop.
Well,
on the way.
CVS opened at 7 and we ended up waiting 1 minute or 2 minutes to get into CVS. And we stopped in Walgreens first and they didn't have what I wanted. And so I'd say we left our hotel at probably 6:45.
Okay. That's pretty early.
Yeah. Breakfast opened at 6:30. We were in line when the door opened for the breakfast at 6:30. We ate quickly maybe 10 till.
Okay.
So we left before 7.
Okay.
When we got to the security checkpoint, it was open. We didn't have to wait. We were able to just walk right through. We started at DCA the first day, and we were pretty close to the front.
Nice.
And we were in easy. We were up by the rope. We rope dropped Guardians, of course.
Yes, if you're following us on Instagram, you know what they rope dropped
Even
on
if you're
Erin's
not.
birthday.
It was my birthday. Even if you're not following us on Instagram, you should probably know what we rope
Yes.
dropped.
What would Erin pick?
So we did Guardians of the Galaxy, and we were right up by the rope there.
Nice.
And we were pretty early on getting on it. So that worked out really well. I did not get Jackson 5.
Wah, wah.
I don't know who to write to and talk to them about it.
We haven't had it for a long time.
And it never happens. Like, I get the same songs over and over again. I just feel like it's a diamond in the rough. Like, you just don't get Jackson 5 ever. Anyway, so we did that. We did Incredicoaster. We single ridered Radiator Springs Racers. We pretty much did everything we wanted to do in DCA. It was an Oogie Boogie Bash day, and so we knew we had to be done by 6 o'clock. We stayed until probably about 5 and started seeing people mix in in their costumes.
Did you do single park tickets for Lyndon?
No.
You did park hoppers
We
for
did.
her? Okay. So you had the ability to hop to the other park.
Yep.
Perfect.
I considered doing 1 park per day, but I was like, nope, I just really like being able to move around.
Yeah, it's hard. Once you get used to that, it's really hard to go back to single parks.
I agree. So we went over to Disneyland for the evening, did a bunch of things there. She was really, really, really into Splash Mountain.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. And Autopia. Yes. So we did Autopia. She was super excited about it because her little foot could reach the pedal and she could do it all on her own. Just the first time. We rode it 3 times. The other 2 times, for some reason, all of a sudden,
she didn't want to drive anymore.
No. She just couldn't get the pedal.
Oh.
I don't know what her deal was.
Huh.
I don't know if the seatbelt was tighter or if it was just a different shape of car.
Interesting.
But she was like, Mom, she couldn't do it. And she's like, Mom, I need you to push the gas. I was like, what happened? You were tall enough last night. Did you shrink? Anyway, so we did Autopia 3 different times. Oh, and it's fun. And she loved it.
Once is enough. 0 times is even better.
Yeah, it was fine. When the 3rd time, she was like, let's go do Autopia. I was like,
Oh, boy.
do we have to? And
yes, it was her special trip.
Right, and I tried really hard to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But we did Splash Mountain. That particular time, she had on Nikes and didn't have any other shoes with her. And we got in the boat and we're climbing up the first hill. And I had already asked her, I'm like, just take your shoes off and give them to me.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I'm not doing that. Again, she's very proper. And when we were climbing up the first hill, I turned around and I said, give me your shoes now. And she was like, why? And I said, because you're going to rub blisters. You are. So she took her shoes off and her socks, and I put them under my poncho and held them so that they would stay dry. And it was a good thing because we got soaked.
Yeah. Did she wear a poncho also? Or
She
just
did
you?
that time. And then she threw it away after that. And then we rode Splash Mountain again the next day. But she was in the very, very back row. So she was okay. She didn't get too crazy wet. And that second day, she brought sandals also.
Perfect.
So that worked out well. She also really wanted to do Grizzly River. And I waited in line with her on my birthday. We waited in line for half an hour. It broke down. And then the second day, she still really wanted to do it. And I said, I'm not doing it. You're more than welcome to go do it. And she was like, fine. So I put her in the single rider line. I went to the bathroom and then I waited for her at the exit.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah. And she didn't have a poncho for that. She got pretty wet, but she loved it.
Good.
And she rode with a bunch of grandparents. So
that's cute.
I know. It was pretty cute. She said
took
there
good
was
care
like
of her.
Yeah, she said there was like 120 something on there and the rest were old enough to be her grandparents.
Oh, that's funny.
And they were all in ponchos.
Which means they were probably, 30?
Right.
To her little brain.
Right. I saw them go by. They were probably old enough to be her grandparents. But she said that they were super nice to her, and I was proud of her for being brave and going through the single rider line. She did Incredicoaster single rider one time too.
The rite of passage.
Yes. And so, yeah, she was happy to do that. And we made deals. You know, we had to for sure have a plan where I would be waiting for her at the exit. But as long as your kid is 7 years old, they can ride on their own.
Yeah.
And she was happy to do that when I didn't want to do something.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And then with Radiator Springs, we used single rider line there. And we ended up in 2 different cars. But there was a man right in front of me who was in the single rider line. And they sent him first to car number 1.
Yeah.
They sent me to car number 1, and they sent Lyndon to car number 2. And so as he and I got in line, I said, hey, you can say no, but would you be willing to trade her so that she could be in my car with me? And he was like, oh, yeah, no problem. So she actually got to ride in the same car as me.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
Yeah, so that worked out really well. And anyway, that was great. I highly recommend single rider if it's something that's available for you. It makes things so much easier and you get through so much quicker.
Especially Radiator Springs. That's one we always recommend to do single rider on if you can.
If you can.
Yep.
And especially if you've done it before.
Right.
If it's your first time doing it, you might want to wait. You might want to just spring for the individual lightning lane.
Right. Yes.
We did not do web slingers ever. I gave her the option to do single rider or to wait. She said no thanks.
Okay.
So really, I guess it is one and done for my kids.
Yeah.
She didn't care.
Yeah.
What else did we do that's of note? I'm trying to think.
Has she outgrown Fantasyland, or is that still?
Yes.
She has outgrown Fantasyland.
Yep. I kept asking, do you want to go do some rides in Fantasyland? And she's like, no. She says, I want the thrilling things. She wants the big fun rides. And so we only ended up doing Alice in Wonderland and It's a Small World in Fantasyland. We didn't do anything else. The line was more than 20 minutes. She was like, nope, something else. There was even a point where there was no line for the carousel. And I was like, you totally could ride Jingles. And she said, no, I'm good.
Wow. Was that a little bit sad? A little bit weird?
To have her not want to do any of that? No, because Fantasyland's just not my favorite either. Yeah. And so I was actually okay with it. I'm okay with doing some of the other stuff.
Yeah, same.
And like I said, I love Alice. We got to ride Alice. It's a Small World. You have to do every trip, even if you don't love it.
Right.
And so I was okay with just doing those two. We were going to do Storybook Land Canal Boats, but the line was just a little long, and we decided not to. We did not step foot into Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, wow.
Didn't even go in there.
Huh. No Ronto wraps for you this time. So let's talk about food then.
Okay.
What did you eat?
I finally tried the toffee cream cheese pretzel. Delicious. Big fan.
As good as the original?
Yeah. I would say equal.
Okay.
It doesn't make the original worse for me.
No, I would say it's different too, because it's a little bit sweeter than the original, right?
Yeah, but I liked it a lot. I finally tried the Not So Little chicken sandwich at Pim Test Kitchen. I wanted to try it forever, but I always find something else to eat. In fact, we had ordered Cocina Cucamonga, and the wait was like 35 minutes, and Pim was right then, and so I canceled the Cocina order and did Pim, and that's the only reason we got that. And it was tasty.
I love that chicken sandwich.
It's really good. Like the sauce on it and the slaw is really yummy.
Yep, don't even need the bun. It's negligible. I could just eat that chicken. It's yummy. Did you get a side of tater tots?
I did.
Good.
With a little beer cheese sauce.
Yes. Good.
I was shocked at how good it was.
Good.
I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. It was really good. So I love it. It's good.
It's got a good panko crust on it. It's just really, hits the spot.
Yep. I got steak gumbo for the first time at Royal Street Veranda.
Nice.
And that was good in a bread bowl. Lyndon had clam chowder and I had the steak gumbo. It was tasty and it was nice because it was dark. It was the evening time and it was a nice warm treat. And then we got breakfast at Red Rose Tavern. Actually, no, we didn't. Lyndon got breakfast at Red Rose Tavern. She got a Mickey-shaped pancake. Do you want to know what I had for breakfast?
Not a Ronto wrap.
Nope.
What would be, I don't know.
I'll tell you this. We rope dropped Pirates. This is our second day. We rope dropped Pirates of the Caribbean, and then we had a Genie Plus Lightning Lane for Indiana Jones. So we were over in that area.
You had Bengal barbecue for breakfast.
I sure did. Yes, I did. So I got myself Bengal barbecue and I carried it over to Red Rose Tavern.
Lovely. If you listened to our episode a few weeks ago when we talked about breakfast options, we said if you want a non-traditional breakfast option, there are a few of those out there.
That was what I got.
One of them is Bengal barbecue.
It just sounded much better to me.
Yeah, sure.
So I grabbed that. We went and ate at Red Rose Tavern. While we were at Red Rose Tavern, we ran into our little friends when we talked about from our August trip. The little family that was in line with us when all the rides were breaking down.
Yeah.
And his name's Joey. I ended up talking to him for a little while. And he was explaining to me that was their first time, which we talked a little bit about. Yeah. And they fell in love, and
we're back already.
Just him.
Just him by himself?
Just him by himself. So he and his wife live in Eugene, Oregon with their kids. And his parents just moved to Orange County. And so he was helping his parents move to Orange County.
Cute.
And he decided to take them to Disneyland for the day.
So him and his parents. Oh, that's adorable.
It was super cute. Yeah. So, and he's like, now my family lives here, so we're going to be coming back all the time.
Good
and
for
he
them.
said, and my wife doesn't know I'm here today. So that was fun.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Okay, what else?
Okay, so this is the big thing that happened. And I kind of feel like, you know, since we started this podcast and we've been going more often, I feel like I'm slowly just ticking little things off of my Disneyland bucket list. And another thing happened this trip, and it was totally cool. So I'm a big fan of Roberto. He's a cast member on the Mark Twain. And I saw him there. We were going to ride with him last month when we were there.
Yeah.
And he was on a break, and we didn't get to ride with him.
He disappeared.
He did. But I saw him. He was standing at the gate on the ground. And I just wanted to tell him that I had an experience with him back in May that I really enjoyed, and he's one of my favorite cast members. And so Lyndon and I went in. We had Genie Plus reservations for Big Thunder Mountain. So we were on our way to that. We had plans. And we just popped in, and I said, hey, I just wanted to come tell you, that you gave us a really great experience back in May when I was here with my friend, and you're just one of my favorite cast members. It was a really memorable, awesome experience, and I wanted to tell you thank you. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. Thank you so much. And I was like, you're welcome, and we talked for a couple of minutes. And then I was like, all right, have a good day. And I turned around and walked away. And I heard him say, ma'am. And I turned back around, and he motions for me to come back over. And he's like, how many are in your party? And I said, just the two of us. And he was like, okay. He says, in about 5 minutes, the Mark Twain should be pulling back up. How would you guys like to go up into the wheelhouse and pilot the Mark Twain? And I was like, that'd be so cool. And Lyndon was like, oh my gosh, that'd be so cool. So we got to do that. And that's something that's pretty special that not everybody gets to do. Yeah. It's almost a little ceremonial. They have you sign a guest book. They give you a little certificate that you've piloted the Mark Twain. He had quite the story. He explained to us that, he was telling us when to steer and how to steer. And so as we took off from the dock, he said, okay, in about 5 seconds, when I count down, you're going to spin 3 times to the right, 3 full turns to the right. And I was like, okay. And so he's like, all right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, 3 times. And he's like helping me spin the wheel. And he's like, okay, that's enough. Don't want to overturn it. And I was like, it's on a track. And he's like, it's not. And I said, okay. And he said, it's not. He's like, we're not on a track. And I said, I've seen this drained. There's a track. And he's like, do you want to know what that is? And I said, oh, yes, please tell me. And he explained to me that it is for scuba divers. When they're making repairs in the water and they have to go in there, they can tether themselves to that. That's a tether for them to stay. And he was explaining all these things, and there's no track there because how could the rafts go back and forth to the island if there was a track and all of this stuff? And I was like, okay. And he was adamant that there is no track. Guys, there's a track. And so Lyndon fully believed it. Lyndon was like, Mom, I think he was telling the truth. I don't think there's a track. And so that's great.
Yeah.
It's magical for her.
Disney magic.
Yeah, she's totally steered the Mark Twain.
I love it.
It was great. It was cool. She got to blow the horn a couple of times, and we learned a little bit about how they do things. It's kind of a well-oiled machine. So when we were coming around that backstretch, the Columbia was still at the dock.
Okay.
And they communicate back and forth,
Sure.
And so they told him how much longer they would be at the dock. So we stopped. And there's a bell system between him and the engineer, so the engineer knows to cut back on the power.
Okay.
And then a canoe came up behind us, and he leaned out the window, and they have arm signals that they send to the canoes. And so he said, if we were going to be here for a minute and we knew that the Columbia was staying, I would tell the canoe to go ahead and pass us.
Yeah.
But the Columbia was leaving in 1 minute, and so he knew that would put the canoe in a bad place. And so he leaned out the window, and he made an X with his arms.
Okay.
And the canoe, what did we decide they were called? Remember, conductor? No. Didn't we come up with a name for it last time? I don't remember. The canoe.
The steerer?
I don't know.
The commander?
The Commodore?
The captain?
Yeah.
Canoe captain?
The canoe captain, whatever. Made the arm signal back saying, I received what you said. And he stopped his canoe behind us. And so we had this little traffic jam. But it was really cool because I was like, they all communicate together and they have the system of communication. And it was pretty cool. So it was a cool experience. We got to kind of learn a little behind the scenes.
Keep some tragedy on the seas from happening.
Right. No smushing of the canoes. So if you want to ride the canoes,
know that they're relatively safe, but a lot of work.
You don't want to ride the canoes. But if you do decide that you need extra exercise while you're at Disneyland, yes, they're safe. You're not going to get squashed.
Right.
So anyway, that was super cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Everything else was just basic. I mean, really, with Genie Plus, we both had Genie Plus. We were able to do pretty much everything we wanted to do at least once, if not 3 times, Autopia.
Did you use Genie Plus for Autopia?
No, I don't think we did ever. I don't think the line
unless it's an extremely busy day, I would say Autopia rarely has a long line.
Right.
But
I don't think we ever did.
Huh.
We were able to get a couple of multi-experience passes because Space Mountain went down on us. And multi-experience passes are super interesting because they're kind of tiered.
Yeah.
And so since we had Space Mountain, we were able to use our multi-experience pass on anything except for Peter Pan and Rise of the Resistance.
Right.
Those were the 2 that we could not use it on. I'm trying to think if there was some at DCA that we couldn't use it on. I bet Radiator Springs Racers. But we also got a multi-experience pass for like something else that was a lower tiered, and it only allows you to use it on like a handful of attractions.
Right.
And
so you got to read that fine print.
Yes, and
it'll
you're
be
able,
in your app.
Yep, you're able to, when you get a multi-experience pass, there's a place where you can click a hot link that lets you know exactly what rides it qualifies you for. So we used it the first night. We used it for Jungle Cruise and got right on that, which was awesome. And
which doesn't have a lightning lane. Typically, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the fun thing about the multi-experiences is you can use them for things you wouldn't normally be able to fast pass for.
Yeah, so that was awesome. The second day when we got 2, because of Space Mountain, we used them on Guardians of the Galaxy, and then we used them on Space Mountain later that day.
Nice.
We were able to also get, right now, because Monsters After Dark happens in the afternoon, we were able to get a Guardians of the Galaxy pass in the morning. And then at 3 o'clock, we were able to get a Monsters After Dark pass.
So that's something we probably should have talked about in the news. But if you're going right now during Halloween time, I think we mentioned this on our Instagram. Yes, but you can actually, they're 2 completely different rides in the Genie Plus system.
Yep.
So you can pull 2 different lightning lanes.
Yeah, and if you're there on an Oogie Boogie Bash day, you've got to be pretty strategic about it because you have that small window and you want to get on Monsters After Dark at 3 o'clock.
Yep.
It was totally awesome. And we really love it.
Cool. I love it.
Okay, and then one other new experience that I will tell you about, which I alluded to earlier in the episode. We flew home out of Burbank. That flight was not changed.
Right.
And we took the Amtrak Surfliner between Anaheim and Burbank. And I highly recommend it.
Yeah?
Yes. In fact, I feel like we should do that next time.
Okay.
The train station in Anaheim, it cost us like $10 Uber to get to the train station.
Okay. From your hotel?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And super easy to navigate, super easy to use. Interesting, though. I bought my train tickets. Nobody ever looked at them.
Oh.
I never scanned my train tickets in.
That actually, I was on a train in Switzerland probably about the same time you were on that. Not quite, but same. We bought our train tickets and nobody ever looked at them. So I guess you just are operating on the assumption that they could look at them at any time. So so the fear is in you.
Casey from Disneyland Daily uses a train frequently. And I texted her with all of my questions just to be sure I was prepared. And I will say this really quickly, and this is of note. If you're traveling down there anytime in the near future, please know that currently services between San Diego and Irvine are suspended.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because there is some compromised track in the San Clemente area where there is some erosion that's happening, and they're not sure that the track is safe. So they have stopped it. They're working on I believe, busing people. So if you are taking that train, they're working on getting people bused from Irvine to Oceanside.
Yeah, that would be hard if you counted on that for your commute.
Totally.
Way hard.
Really hard because there's Metrolink goes through there too. So there's a commuter train as well. So, and for Casey lives in Oceanside and she uses the train all the time and that stinks for her.
Yeah.
So, but be aware of that if you're going down there and you were planning on maybe taking the train. It's not running, and if they do get up and running soon, it might be different than what you expect it to be. So, but it didn't affect us because we were north of that.
Right.
So, got to the train station, had our tickets, and I texted Casey when we were on the train. I was like, nobody ever asked for our tickets. And she said, it's an honor system, and they can come and they can check at any time, so you better have tickets, basically.
Right.
And so, okay, that makes sense.
Because I'm guessing it's a pretty nasty fine if you are caught without tickets.
I think I saw on one of the platforms that we stopped at, it was like a $1,500 fine.
Oof, yeah.
So have your tickets, even though they weren't checked. But we got on the train in Anaheim at the Arctic Center, which is a busing and train center. And the Surfliner is a double-decker train. So you get on, you leave your suitcases. They have kind of a suitcase rack. You leave your suitcases there. We went upstairs to the top level and got ourselves some seats and sat back and relaxed for an hour and 20 minutes.
Nice.
And the train station at Burbank Airport is literally across from the entrance to the airport.
Oh, that's so nice.
So we got off, crossed the street, and walked into the airport. It was fantastic.
Okay, that's so good to know.
Yes, and for us to do it that one way was $28.
Okay. Total or per person?
Nope, total.
Nice.
I think I was 18 and she was 10 or something like that, but $28 total. It wasn't a scenic ride. There were a couple of spots where it was pretty. A lot of graffiti.
Okay.
Like a lot of graffiti.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
We went through downtown LA and we went over a couple of overpasses where I was able to see Los Angeles traffic.
Cool.
And thought to myself how grateful I was not sitting in that traffic.
Sure.
It was awesome. We had one crazy guy sitting behind us who was talking to anybody who would listen about his political viewpoints.
Of course.
Whatever, that's fine. And in fact, Lyndon turned around at one point and looked to see who he was talking to, and him seeing her turn around, he was like, "Oh, did I swear? Did I swear? Did I cuss? Did I say something wrong? Did I?" And I'm just like, "It's fine." I didn't say anything to him, but I was just like, "It's okay." So, I mean, you have some colorful characters that might be on the train with you. It's an inexpensive way to travel. We met a really nice guy who was on his way to San Luis Obispo. That's where he lived. And he had been in Southern California visiting a family member. And that train ride for him was 7 hours long.
Oh, boy.
And I'm sure it was very scenic at some point. We just didn't have great scenery, but it was a great way to kick back. I played games on my phone. Lyndon took a nap. And not have to worry about driving through traffic.
And you felt like it was worth the savings to fly 100%. Into Burbank. Okay.
Yeah, my flight into Burbank was $48.
Nice.
And so with the train, it made it so easy and so nice, and I would 100% do it again.
Okay, good to know.
And I know I've had a couple people who reached out on Instagram when I shared some pictures of the train. If you are considering doing something like this, for sure reach out to me, and I'm happy to share information with you, what I learned, because it was a little bit of a learning curve.
Sure.
But it was a fantastic experience, and I really, really enjoyed it.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am so glad that you got to go.
Me too.
That was like a fun surprise for me too.
Yeah.
To get to live vicariously through you last week.
Yeah, and it was good to spend time with her. She's my child who really loves one-on-one attention.
That's her love language.
Yes, and so it was good to spend time with her. I will say this, she was a trooper. We did on her little Fitbit, because her legs are shorter than mine, so we'll count her numbers. On Thursday, I think she had 33,000 steps.
Wow.
And on Friday, she had 36,000 steps. And we closed down DCA Friday night. And we had talked about it earlier in the day. Oh, I was going to tell you one other thing. I'll tell you this in a second.
Okay.
We had talked about it earlier in the day. We were going to the 10:15 showing of World of Color. So that's after the park closes.
Right. Really closing the park down. Yep.
And after that, I wanted to get some last-minute souvenirs for my kids at home. And so we didn't leave DCA until probably 11:15. And we had talked earlier in the day about going back to Disneyland and shutting Disneyland down. I said, even if we sit on a bench and watch people leave, let's do it. And she was like, all for it. Well, 11:15 rolls around, and 36,000 steps later, she was like, I don't want to. I want to go back to the hotel. So what I was going to share with you, though, is we were able to, I bought a couple of things that were a little bit heavier. Oh, I bought our giveaway stuff.
Yes, I was just going to talk about that in a few minutes.
We'll talk about that. But I had a couple things that were like large bags that were kind of heavy, and I bought them a little earlier in the evening, and I did not want to tote them around. And you're able to check your bags as long as you have your original receipt and in the original bag. You can go to the stroller rental in the Esplanade and check your shopping purchases.
Oh, that's really nice. For free?
For free.
Wow. So
we
you don't need to get a locker necessarily.
Correct. So we went over there, and they take the receipts, they staple them, they have you fill out some paperwork with your name and address on it. They staple the original receipts to that paperwork. They keep a copy of that paperwork, and then they give you the receipts and the paperwork. And then they're there until, and I asked what time they close, and they said, we are here until the last guest has been walked out of Disneyland, and then an extra half an hour or something like that. And so they're there late, and you can go retrieve your bags. And it was quick and easy and free, and I highly recommend that. And I think there are other locations as well. That just worked for us because we went from Disneyland to DCA, and we knew we'd be going past there again when we left. And so that was a really great option for us. But I believe there are other locations throughout the park too. Just ask when you buy something if it's big.
Perfect. That's awesome. And now, as of August 8th, too, you can, if you're staying on property, you can also have your purchases sent to your hotel.
Yes.
So that's also an option for you.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough to be staying on property.
Just don't forget you checked stuff.
Right.
Make sure you grab it.
Yeah. So that's a good tip. That's awesome.
Yeah. I really liked that. Okay. Should we talk about our giveaway?
Let's talk about our giveaway. So, guys, we are closing in on almost 2,000 followers on Instagram,
which is super exciting.
It's a big deal for us. We are really excited about it.
But even more exciting.
Yes.
This week.
Drum roll.
Well, let's see. Let's look. And let me look really quick and I can give an estimate on what day it's going to happen.
We're going to tell you how many downloads we've had for our podcast.
By the time you listen to this,
we might be there.
I think we'll be there.
Yeah.
If not, by the time you listen to this, you are probably the person. We are going to hit 100,000 downloads of our podcast episodes.
100,000 downloads?
Which is insane.
It's crazy, you guys. We are so grateful for you for listening and for just hanging out with us and chatting Disneyland. Anyway, so we wanted to do something really, really big to celebrate these numbers. And I know it's not all about the numbers, but this is, this is how we gauge, how we're doing.
Yeah.
Anyways, we just wanted to celebrate. So follow us on Instagram.
Yes.
So you can see what we're giving away.
Let's just tell them.
Do you want to tease it?
Yeah, we'll tell you. And we haven't figured out how we're doing the giveaway yet. So stay tuned. We'll share it for sure.
Yeah, but it'll happen on Instagram.
It'll happen on Instagram. So if you're not following us on Instagram, go follow us, even just for this giveaway.
Yes, at Ropedrop.Parkhop.
Yes. But it's big. It's a lot.
It is. It's a big giveaway.
Okay. So while I was there, I got some ears.
Yes.
That are super cute.
They're Loungefly ears.
They are Loungefly ears.
So they're not just any ears.
Yes. They're sequined. They have the castle on the bow. They're almost like a confetti.
They are beautiful.
They're so cute.
You have to see them.
Yes. And then we got the matching Spirit jersey, this matching Disneyland Spirit jersey, and it has a big castle on the front of the Spirit jersey with this confetti around it, and then the Disneyland across the shoulders is in the same really colorful confetti. And then we also got
a Loungefly backpack.
A Loungefly backpack that matches. Yes.
So it's all matching. It's all beautiful. Matching. It's all pink and purple and beautiful, and you're going to die.
Yes.
It's so cute.
So we're going to give that away to somebody.
Yes.
So go over to Instagram, make sure you're following us, and
watch for that giveaway.
Watch for that, but it's coming, and we really, really appreciate you guys following us here first and foremost. Yes. The podcast is our baby. Yes. So that's, Instagram is a side story, but that's just where we have
Instagram's just a way for us to show in pictures, what we're trying to portray on the podcast.
But this is our baby, and we really appreciate you guys listening every week, and we're really proud of what we're doing here, and we're grateful for you guys helping us make it what it is.
Yeah, and we're super, super grateful for all of the reviews and ratings that you've given us. That helps us get seen more, and that helps us get to those numbers. So super grateful. Keep doing that. Keep that up. Share us with your friends.
Yep. And we hope you love this giveaway as much as we do. Yeah. We decided to go big, and we're excited about it.
So excited.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.